Does any of this look familiar? Take you back to 2020, 2021, and the use or reuse, I should say, of masks during the pandemic. Was it the safest thing to do? And I'd love to know from you in the comments, during the pandemic, the facility you work at, did you reuse your mask? And like, no, we were good. We got a new mask every time we needed one. Or you're like, yes, we reuse them. And then I would love to know the frequency that you reuse the mask. Because what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go into a recently published study that talks about how effective masks are when you reuse them. This super interesting study was published in JAMA this year, and it was a prospective cohort trial that was conducted between 2021 and 2022 in 6 different emergency departments in the United States. And staff had to wear the same N95 mask for at least half of their shift, and they had to use these masks for up to 5 consecutive shifts. And they had to work at least 10 shifts in 6 months. And you can see the hospitals that participated. So let me know if you work at one of those hospitals. The different masks that were evaluated included the dome type masks, the trifolds, and then the duckbill masks. If you were a healthcare worker that wasn't willing to wear your mask at least half your shift, failed your fit test at baseline, were pregnant, or had anything that would interfere with the seal, you were excluded from participating in the study. If you participated in the study, you had to be willing to do a baseline fit test, one at the beginning of your shift, one at the end of your shift, and they used a qualitative assessment using the bitter spray. Participants were given a plastic container to put their masks in between shifts to store them. And they had to wear their mask until there was fit failure, if there was heavy soiling, if the mask was becoming deformed, or if at least 5 shifts had elapsed. So the healthcare workers would wear their shift for multiple patients, and they had to limit donning and doffing to no more than 5 times per shift, because we know masks break down the more you put them on and take them off. I'm going to go over the results, and I want to warn you, these results are a bit tough to look at, especially if you worked at a hospital that reused your masks. On average, there was fit failure of almost 40% after 1 shift. By 5 shifts, almost 93% of the masks failed. This next graph looks at fit failure by the type of mask. The trifold mask had the highest cumulative failure, but none of them performed amazingly. And you can see as shifts go on, fit failure increases quite significantly. So some other findings: the less you donned and doffed your mask, the longer you were able to successfully reuse that mask and have protection. Females had a higher likelihood of fit failure, which I'm not totally sure why. If there was any skin protectant used, that was associated with a reduced likelihood of fit failure. And of course, as usual, I have a lot of really strong thoughts on this. There were major supply issues, as we all are very aware of during the pandemic. And I just feel like we need to have a plan. We should not be reusing our masks. And let's be honest, before March of 2020, if we would have reused an N95 mask, we would have probably been written up and been reprimanded for that. So I really think it's not if we have another pandemic, but when we have another pandemic. And are we prepared? And during the pandemic, the Presidential Defense Production Act was initiated, but it wasn't enforced. And so a lot of us, went without masks for a very long time with just ridiculous. And, and I feel very passionate about this because 2 of my coworkers died, and I'm not okay with it. So, I really think from here, you need to push your hospitals, ask what's the plan if we have another pandemic? Do we have supply? And then what is going to happen with the supply chain? It's not okay. It is not okay. As a bare necessity, we should be protected at the bedside.